think that we would stand in the train of Richard Allen, and that we would be a part of that rich history, and that I would have the opportunity and the privilege to serve the church in that capacity of leadership. It gives me a sense of urgency. So we had these long debates and discussions and conversations and said, how do we do this? And we put together a proposal with the help of several ministers and lay people about how to include young adults in the life of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And so in order to make it happen, though, we had to appeal to the bishops of the church. We went to the Bishops' Council in Birmingham. We were just talking about it a little while in the room. And asked the bishops if they would send at least 2 observers from each Episcopal district to the General Conference, and they would be seated as observers, but they'd be able to share in the proceedings and participate in the process that way. No vote, just to be able to be present. As a connectional president of the RAYC, I had a vote, and then Dr. Watley had a vote as connectional YPD, and that was a part of the legislation we did in 1968. It was challenging, exciting, but for me, it took on special meaning. The late Dr. H.C. Coswell, who was an institution in Georgia, the young people were seated in the balcony, the observers, and Dr. Coswell said, I understand that McKinley Young and the young people, he could do a job of my name, McKinley Young and the young people up in the balcony. Richard Allen took us out of the balcony to bring us on the main floor, and I think we ought to bring the young people down on the floor as members of the General Conference. Now, he was sightless at the time, very aged, but obviously a person of enormous vision.
Pastor, Reverend McKinley Young. Let's greet him. Thank him for
this. Mr. and Mrs. Mandela, Dr. Lowry, Mrs. King, members of this august body, on behalf of Bishop John Hurst Adams, the senior bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and Dr. Dolly Adams, who sits here today, and Bishop Harold Benjamin Sinotley, the president of the Council of Bishops of the African Methodist Episcopal Church and the presiding bishop of the 19th Episcopal District of our church, which embraces Johannesburg and the Republic of South Africa. I am pleased as the senior pastor of the oldest black congregation in the city of Atlanta to say a word of welcome to our hero and our shero as we celebrate the pride of black manhood and black womanhood today. So welcome to Big Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, where the sons and daughters of Richard and Sailor Allen strive to witness to the glory and praise of God. Welcome, freedom now.
I never dreamed or imagined that I would leave the General Conference in 1992 as a bishop in our church.
Machines back to zero. We're starting all over again.
Preston W. Williams, 474.
What's that?
George S. Willis III, 3. McKinley Young, 101.
Now you can speak. Now we want to hear from you.
Now talk.
Didn't want to hear no mess.
Speak now. Speak now.
Bishop McKinley Young. Speak.
Fellow delegates, let him speak.
And his wife, Sister Dorothy
Bishop
Young,
Thomas.
Mother Young.
Our presiding officer, Bishop Beelan, the chair of the election commission. My brother, bishops-elect, and my brothers in the episcopacy in the greatest church in the world, the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Come. Bishop Adams, the senior bishop of the church, and the presiding bishop of Georgia.
That's the right
My father
baby.
never pastored a church with more than 100 members. But he built churches. He loved people. He renovated them. He prepared them. He believed in them. He dreamed for them. He helped them. He enabled them, and he taught me to do likewise and to enjoy it. He's not here on earth tonight. He's on high. I'm grateful for his legacy and grateful for his teaching and grateful for his memory. And there's so many people. So many people who taught me in Sunday school, who worked with me at choir rehearsals. I was born on a street that was unpaved. It was called Buttermilk Bottom. In our language, it would be a slum, but it ain't where you've been born, it's what's been born in you. Thank you, Jesus. I'm grateful for the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I joined Big Bethel when I was 6 years old. H.I. Bearden was my pastor. It was in that pulpit that I saw some of the best that African Methodism had to offer. I saw PhDs and learned people come through. I saw the average person who shares in the life and work, and I was inspired and encouraged. So along the way, I've been helped by so many people, so many congregations, so many people. I'm grateful. I want to thank the members of the Georgia delegation who helped us tonight. It's been 28 years since Georgia elected a bill. 28 years, 1964, Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm grateful. Bishop Adams, my bishop, giving me an opportunity to work closely enough to learn how to be a good bishop. I pledge to you tonight my commitment to strive to be a good bishop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My wife, Dorothy, our 4 daughters, my son-in-law, all here tonight. I came earlier to make another speech. I was prepared to make it, but you wouldn't let me.
I hear you.
I'm so glad. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, African Methodist Episcopal Church.
You are the
I pledge
people,
you my
Bishop.
best.
I think the 1976 General Conference, we attempted to present to the church a proposal to create one youth organization in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. That debate and conversation we needed to have. The church didn't adopt the proposal, but what it did, it gave me the opportunity to see how the process really works, and it helped me to understand something very critical in the life of the church, and that you have to be able to hear the church's no in order to embrace the church's yes. If you can't accept that, then you will not be able to serve the church, because it will say no as well as it can say yes. Oh, it's a different feeling altogether to be on the other side of the table. I used it a lot when I was elected the bishop to talk about the Board of Examiners. In addition to the work with the young people, one of the most exciting responsibilities I had was to serve as the Dean of the Board of Examiners for the Chicago Annual Conference. The late Bishop H.N. Robinson gave me that responsibility. I loved it. I loved the idea of addressing the issues of ministry. Bishop Talbot became the president of the council, and we agreed that we were going to have a convocation on ministry in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. We're going to redo all of the facets of Section 7 in the old discipline and create diverse forms of ministry and all of that, have those kinds of conversations and discussions. I thought that Bishop Talbot and Bishop and Mrs. Talbot, Bishop and Mrs. Ming, Bishop Robinson, I remember, the Mings especially were able to help capture the song and the music and the spirit of our people in the districts 14 and higher. I think that's our future. We are a part of the diaspora. There are people who our cousins, our brothers and sisters, that we did not grow up with. We have the opportunity to interact with them and to learn from them, and them to learn from us. The African Methodist Episcopal Church, when John Bryant served as the president of the council, gave $100,000 to be shared in South Africa between the 19th, where Bishop Sonatley served, and the 15th, where I served, to help in the elections of 1994. Forums, crusades, youth gatherings, rallies, all of those, providing transportation, voter education, voter mobilization, teach-ins, all that happened with those funds and resources. The reason why they were is because our church always held elections. And the people said, I learned how to do this by being a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So I think that rather than them learning from us, we learn from them. I love that music. I love the song. I love the way they understand the theology of African Methodism in a big way. I love what it represents when we see a new South Africa emerge. And we also saw a new Namibia come into being as well. All of that, and since I had the opportunity to serve as the Bishop of Namibia, Angola, and the southern part of the Republic of South Africa, it was rich and vital. So I think those are ties, connections, linkages that should be strengthened and enlarged, never diminished, because I think it's a mutual learning experience. Hopes and dreams for the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I chair the Commission on Annuity Investment and Insurance. We will bring to this General Conference, after a feasibility study and a business plan that's been developed by one of our members, who happens to be a layperson, a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, who was willing to invest over $350,000 of his own money to help make certain that we would be able to bring into reality a captive insurance program for the African Methodist Episcopal Church, an insurance company that we will own that will help us to underwrite and to further implement the dreams and the visions which were worked out in our strategic plan for the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I'm excited about the future and what that holds. When I think about the annuity and investment and insurance program, I think that when we get to the General Conference in a few months, we will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million. That's remarkable. Very close to it. That's remarkable for a church of people.